I bought a bus. 2007 MCI E4500.
I guess we better rewind a couple of years.
Yeah, probably about 2 years. It's about how long ago it was when I first started sending you skoolie photos and skoolie videos and tiny house videos. And
I think it started with the tiny house videos.
probably
Which I totally thought we could do. I thought a tiny house would be doable, but
Yeah.
I did not think a bus was doable, especially with Connor.
Yeah, tiny house is the worst part is you're stuck in one place.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, and stuck on a trailer.
About 6 months of convincing.
Yeah, I think so. About 6 months, and then I think I was sold.
And a year and a half of planning.
A year and a half of planning.
Going to RV shows. We weren't really impressed with many RVs we found.
No, not at all. Everything just seems like it would be made. It was.
Even at a couple $100,000, it seemed like a cardboard box.
Yeah, everything was really flimsy. The only thing that seemed to be worth anything were the appliances and the seats.
Yeah. Some
But
of them, the more you spent, the nicer the trimmings were.
Yeah,
And some of it's for weight savings.
well, and that's fine. But if I'm gonna live in it full time, I don't want it to be a cardboard box on wheels.
I agree. That brought us back to skoolies, rigid construction. Then that brought us probably the 1980s coach buses.
Yeah, because skoolies are great size-wise, but they don't offer a whole lot for what you start with. You got to change a lot.
Yeah, in the 80s, the good skoolie conversions raised the roofs. They replaced the windows, and by that time, you have as much money into it as an older coach bus.
And you may as well just buy the older coach bus and save yourself the effort.
Yeah, except we didn't want kind of wanted a 30 to 40-year-old coach bus.
They have a nice look to them. They have more character than the newer ones.
Yeah,
but
I like the stainless steel sides and
they also have a lot more miles on them.
two-stroke diesels I didn't want to deal with. So we decided an older coach bus probably wasn't it. And then I got hooked on Bravos, and I decided we needed a Bravo. And we spent most of the last year believing we were going to get a Bravo.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, thinking that, you know what, it's going to be a late 90s, early 2000s H345 probably.
We did a lot of looking online over the last however long it was that we said, and found that what we want and what things actually cost don't really go together very well.
Yeah, we were looking at Bravos with 1.2, 1.3 million miles on them in that $25,000 range, which was $20,000 range, which was the budget we wanted to spend on a bus.
But that's a lot of miles. And I mean, I know they're supposed to go 2-3 million miles, but that's a lot.
It is a lot, and it's when stuff is going to start
Falling apart,
Start
needing
breaking.
repair. And
Yeah, definitely.
if we can keep the repair cost to a minimum, that would be great.
Yeah, once it became real. Once it was, okay, now it's time to pick out the bus and get the real bus. We're kind of back on MCIs. Seemed like the most bus for the money. We get something. We wanted older than 2008 because we did not want to have the DEF fluid and the systems that go with it.
Yep.
Went down to ABC companies, looked at some Van Hoels, nice buses,
Van Hoels are nice.
but too rusty.
Well,
Minnesota ones.
for Minnesota, but even what isn't Minnesota, the Van Hoels are not in our price range.
No. We went down to Rochester lines. They had some really nice J4500s, all in the 700,000 to 800,000 mile range.
All with the same beautiful or rusty orange Minnesota bottoms.
Yep. Yeah. The monocoque structure is stainless steel, and it looked beautiful. But where the suspension bolts onto, where the engine and transmission bolts onto, that's just standard steel because the stainless steel is just too brittle for those spots. And the air tanks underneath were extremely rusty, and looking at just everything underneath, the Minnesota buses just didn't look any fun to work on.
If you're not familiar with Minnesota winters, it snows here and gets really, really cold here, and the roads get covered with ice here. So what they like to do is put salt on the roads, which is really a little bit of salt and a whole lot of chemicals that will burn you if you're not careful. But that melt away the ice like nothing, but also eats away the undersides of your cars, and it eats away retaining walls and sidewalks, and
it works really well for clearing the outside roads, but it's very destructive. So then I got a hold of a guy in Toledo that had a few buses for sale. Most of his buses ran out of Chicago. They look better than Minneapolis buses and Minnesota buses. With the photos he sent me, it still wasn't exactly rust free. And then Bob Tucker down in Arkansas, I think there were 6 buses in our price range that he had.
Yeah, I think so.
And they were from all over the United States, so it's kind of a wish-wash of, you know, how rusty were they or were they not going to be. But yeah, there were 6 buses that were in that $20,000 to $30,000 range that we wanted to take a look at.
And I told Andy, we've talked about it. You know what I want. You know, I know what you want. You know, we know what we're looking for. So if you find what you see, and you think it should be ours, then give me a call and let me know.
I had been sharing a lot of the buses that I found with my friend Josh, and we've kind of decided we were going to drive down together and look at a bus wherever we were going to find buses at. And Monday morning we decided this Bob Tucker's is probably the place we should look at for buses. And about 4 o'clock Monday afternoon we left Minnesota. Drove overnight, got there like 8:30 Tuesday morning.
I think that was about right.
And there were 5-6 buses we looked at there. A couple of them were on the less expensive side, had a little bit higher mileage or a little bit more rust and
better paint on the outside.
Yeah, some had better paint, some didn't have as nice a paint.
Yeah, those orange and brown ones.
No, they didn't look as nice.
Not at all.
A couple of them were really low mileage. But yeah, they didn't look as nice. And they were older. They were 2002s, 2000s, 2003, somewhere in that area. A mixture of them. Mm-hmm. So, but we're looking at buses there, test driving a couple of buses. We really decided on a 2007 MCI E4500. It has 474,000 miles on it when we bought it. Just pretty low mileage for a bus. Sounds kind of crazy, but way lower mileage than a lot of the buses we looked at.
Oh yeah, 700,000-800,000 miles is about the norm that we were finding in an age range that we were willing to look at.
In a price range we were looking at.
Yeah.
We got this for very fair price.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I'm a little surprised. I thought we'd end up spending more.
Yeah, and I thought we'd end up with older.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really excited when we decided this was a bus, and then I gave you the call and said, hey, you need to wire money to Bob.
That is a strange call. That was a really strange call. I was not ready for that. It was one of my last days off before I went back to work. I'm sitting in the house in my pajama pants, not prepared to go to town. Just, I was watching something on Netflix.
But by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we were leaving Marion, Arkansas on our way up north with a bus.
With a bus.
And
with a bus that has no home.
No. About an hour after we purchased the bus, I was still well within Arkansas. I got a text message that said, hey, the parking spot is not.
We thought we had a place for the bus. Turns out it didn't work out. We don't have a place for the bus. So.
But we have a bus. So the bus was on its way to Minnesota, whether we had a place or not.
We have the bus.
Yeah, the important part is we have the bus. Trying to find a place to park it will probably be our next episode.
Yep.
But this episode's about buying a bus, getting the bus back to Minnesota, and yeah.
For now, we're in a temporary home.
Yep. I bought a bus, 2007 MCI E4500 with 474,000 miles on it. Now I get to drive it home from Marion, Arkansas. Kind of seems surreal, but this is my bus. This is our bus. Cat C13 diesel with a ZF 12-speed transmission. Thing drove like a dream. The first fill-up, let's see how much this is going to cost me. My first fill-up came to $420 with 152 gallons. A lot of money, but it ended at a good number, so it's all good. Time to head towards Minnesota. I drove the bus on the first day. It drove extremely well. It's a wide, heavy vehicle. Air brakes took a little bit of getting used to, but they really worked well. Way better than any other air brake vehicle I've ever driven, but it's all disc brakes. Every other air brake vehicle I've ever driven has had drum brakes. So yeah, the bus drove really well. I don't have any footage of me driving the bus. All I did was drive the bus. I didn't mess around with the camera or anything like that. I just drove. But we left Marion, Arkansas.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, left Marion, Arkansas, drove north, made it through what was it? Through St. Louis to
Troy,
Missouri. And Troy, Missouri is about as far as we need to go. Neither Josh or I had slept the night before. We were both extremely tired. It's probably about 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night when we got there, and we just decided to call it a day. While driving the bus, I was very impressed with the power it had. It is governed somewhere between about 72 and 73 miles an hour, but it'll do that going up a hill. It goes above 70 miles an hour up a hill. I don't know how fast it could go if it didn't have a speed governor on it, but I'm very happy.
I'm sure we'll find out.
I'm sure we will. Put an RV tune in this, and that's another day. The bus is, I'm really happy with the way the bus rode. I'm really happy with the way the bus drove. I'm happy with the decision of an E4500 bus.
I'm happy with your decision. Because, I mean, ultimately you made that final decision, and I think you did a good job.
It's morning. The bus started up great. It's warming up now. Still kneeling. It's one of the coolest things about the bus. Maybe that's what I should show you now. Pretty cool. Tag axle will lift if I flip a switch. I gotta do something to make them all drop. Just set the thing on the ground on demand. But it's running good. It's, what time is it here? It's 8:30. Got an awesome night's sleep. It's great because I didn't sleep last night or the night before or whatever. And yeah, got a few hundred miles to go. We're in Troy, Missouri, just north of St. Louis and Minneapolis. Here we come. Josh has given this bus driving thing a go. Let's see how this goes. I trust him more than almost anybody behind the wheel, so I have pretty good faith in him. A little bit of blue smoke on this cold start, but it's been idling for 20 or 30 minutes now. It should be good to go. Josh decided he wanted to drive the bus on day 2. It was about a minute after he made that decision, the first snowflakes started coming down, and we saw some sort of rain, sleet, or snow most of the way back to Minneapolis. At the very end it cleared up, and a little bit in the middle it cleared up. But most of the time Josh got to drive in some sort of inclement weather.
I don't envy him that at all.
Me neither. How can you tell when Minnesota's driving a bus? They pass the snowplow.
I love you too. Have fun.
Oh, we will. And yeah, we'll be home sometime tonight.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Sorry about the diesel sound, but it's a happy sound. We pulled into this rest stop or truck stop about an hour and a half ago, shut the bus off to check the oil, and it wouldn't restart. No crank, no noises, no nothing. Went through all the manuals, looked at all the fuses, finally decided that with the voltmeter, we were not getting any power to the starter for it to crank. I took an old wiper blade, bent the metal part of it. I should find it here. It's back up in the bus. Laid underneath the bus and hot wired right to the starter to start it. Scary as fuck laying underneath the diesel motor right up against your chest while you start it, but it's started, it's running, and it's not gonna get turned out till we're in motherfucking Minnesota. I'm recording on my phone because my camera died, but either way the weather's gotten a little bit worse and we've dropped to below freezing now. We have about 4 hours to go. We're still moving forward though. Just a little bit slower than we'd like. The roads are not getting any better. Almost 3 hours to go. Lost a little bit of speed here too, but we're still moving forward. 2 hours away and the roads are sure not getting any better. Almost home. A little bit colder here than it was down south. About 40 degrees colder than it was when we bought the bus.
And that brings us to a grocery store parking lot in Zimmerman, where hopefully we will be able to find a more permanent parking space for the next couple of months for this big, beautiful bus.
If you'd like to watch us, well, find a parking spot and then renovate this bus and turn this bus into our house, please stick around. Please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, do all that, those YouTube things. And until next time, peace.
Bye.